Pleasure to talk to you about this film. I was telling Michael and Marion when I interviewed them that I enjoyed it a lot because I didn't know anything about it or even the functioning of the video game. I find it fascinating that a video game would have so much backstory and kind of, layers of story to it. Was it the same approach for you?
Yeah, I was quite shocked that, I wasn't aware of this kind of whole kind of war of ideologies between kind of Templars and Assassins and free will and control. But then just on top of that, I think the debate about violence, in the film, whether it's sort of genetically kind of in you and sort of travels from your ancestors and the experiences of them, or whether it's sort of something that's sort of learnt. And I thought that was a really kind of interesting debate that Ubisoft were really kind of keen for us to kind of develop further in the film.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the concept is quite fascinating. The sense of genetic memory, it also makes perfect sense in a way. So is this something you would love to develop throughout the movies as well, in terms of like kind of a lineage of storyline?
For another Assassin's Creed film? Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's unique about it in terms of doing more stories, is that you can obviously go to different ancestors and. Yeah, I mean, I think what's interesting about the game is that there's no good and bad. That you could easily see how an assassin could get corrupted, and how a Templar could become extreme, and and I guess the moral ambiguity of it, of Templars and Assassins and their war is really complex. So I mean, I definitely see sort of some storylines there that you could take it in a really different and interesting way.
Was it an exciting challenge to have the video game, of course, as a background, but to be able to create all new characters that you could kind of play with and have their own storylines and
I think it was everything. Yeah, we didn't want. Ubisoft were really keen on a whole new set of characters and locations, and the last thing I wanted, I think, was to suddenly kind of find an actor to play Ezio in the game, or Desmond Miles, or go back to a kind of real time period that had already been travelled in the games. I think it was important to us to set up an origin story, and for those that are not familiar with Assassin's Creed, to really, understand the notion of genetic memory and genetic sort of memory travel and the animus. So, seeing this man who doesn't understand who he is, and a bit of a lone wolf, and doesn't have a family, for him to sort of discover that his blood is actually very rich and he's quite extraordinary and he has these skills in him that just need to be awoken. I thought that was quite a kind of cool concept for a film.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you play the video game, and do you think now that there are great writers in the video game industry that belong in Hollywood?
I didn't meet many writers within the video game world. I mean, it's interesting. I've read a lot of the stories within Assassin's Creed, and they're really, really well written, really wonderful. I mean, it's interesting. Ubisoft sort of decided to bring Assassin's Creed into the film world, so they engaged with an actor first in Michael, and then Michael was the one that started to bring sort of film writers on to start to develop the story. But I can really see how the two can sort of start to sort of bridge over each other in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. You just worked with Michael on Macbeth and Marion as well. How interesting is it to morph the relationship into something so completely different, into such a different scale kind of film?
Yeah, well, it was nice having them on set with such a big budget film, and sort of to feel like there was some friendly eyes around me. I don't know. It was really different and challenging. It was Macbeth was so intimate and so kind of small, and the verse was kind of everything in Macbeth. This was a much broader experience. Michael was also producing, so we would have discussions about budget and schedule, and when are we ever going to finish this film, and at the same time be having this intimate relationship with a little dramatic scene within the film. And Marion was playing a completely different character. I mean, Sophia, as we were writing her, kind of evolved into Marion, which was really, really interesting. But it was amazing to work with those two again. I mean, on anything, they're two of the most extraordinary actors around at the moment, and to be able to work on a genre piece like this and such different material to what they usually do, it was very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And they swear by their collaboration with you, because it seems like, it kind of developed a nice, trio collaboration that comes, far and few in films. It's not always that you get a team with so much chemistry.
No, I think it's I think it's because I love actors and I love being around them. I'm absolutely curious about them and what they do, and and I know that Marion and Michael are real actors, and they love acting. So
they make the film.
Yeah, and they take it extremely seriously, and it is their love. So we all had a kind of common bond in that, and a real curiosity in performance. So I think that's something that's just sort of travelled through, that no matter how big a film is and how different it is, I think if you all are bonding over the love of acting, then you're always sort of interested.
And finally, should you make a sequel, is there a particular period that you'd like to explore?
I'm not sure yet. I keep on sort of saying, maybe not going back too far, like the 50s in America and the Cold War, or, but I'm not sure. It would all depend on what fits, I think, for Cal, Michael's character. What sort of period of history feels sort of right for him as a sort of ancestor. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see whether people go and see this, which hopefully they will. And and when we sort of sit down and think about another one, we'll see.
One video game step at a time.
Yes.